Hey everybody. This video covers day one in the curriculum. So I've got the binder here. You probably want to follow along. You should also have out the Comp Camp Day 1 handout that I gave you, which if you don't have handy, you can get on Canvas. The modules page has the 4 days of Comp Camp that we had lesson plans up. So the goals of this class, you're going to introduce students to the sort of basic ideas that you can study writing and that their writing background is something that they can analyze, and then that multimedia writing offers possibilities for studying genre and medium. Those are the two big concepts. You're going to get them up and moving around and interacting with each other. You're also going to get them looking at the class in general. They're going to get more details on the class structure next time in day 2. But just get them in their mind so that they can go home and read the syllabus and read the contract and read the self-assessment report and get a real sense of how things work. You'll want to bring copies of your syllabus to class, and you'll also want to bring copies of the grading contract and self-assessment report, both of which should be in your mailboxes now. So, and some extra copies in Katie's mailbox too. If we have them in time, you'll want to bring at least 6 chalkboards to class, 6 or 7. 7 gives you an extra. But we may or may not have those, and I'll go over how to accommodate for that if they aren't there. So, as they are arriving, if you are working in a computer lab, then have them log in immediately as they get there. You might write something like that on the board, or you might just tell them as they come in that they should try to log in. It might take a minute, so getting started on that in advance is a really good idea. I would not give them the syllabus or the grading contract and things when they first arrive. They'll get buried in reading it and start asking you questions before you get to anything, and you'll generally lose control. First activity is a whip around the classroom. We practice that in Comp Camp. Ask them their name and a few things about them, maybe the major they're interested in, maybe where they're from. You can come up with some stuff, general icebreaker stuff, but keep it quick, about 10 minutes around the classroom. Next up, you are looking at the syllabus in brief. Introduce yourself fully, maybe even what you're interested in studying. Go through the general course description that you've written. You can read it aloud or you can summarize it, whichever you like. I like reading it aloud. It's a nice little moment. Talk through technologies policy, invite them to bring whatever tech they want. Talk through your reasonable accommodation statement, remind them what's on Canvas, specifically your assignments for the class on the calendar, and the prompts for all the assignments are up there, I hope, and mention that you're going to get to the grading contract later today, so that to defer some questions on that until you can look at it in more detail. After that, you go to WordPress and talk them through how to sign up for an account. You can do this whether you're in a computer lab or not. Just bring it up on the big screen. Go to wp.wwu.edu, go down to the bottom, that big red button, sign up for the first blog. Show them how to log into that using their same account they just logged in on their computers with if you're in the lab. And then how to register for a test site. Remind them that they can delete it right afterward. That doesn't matter. It's just to get them into the system. That's their homework. If they don't want to do it right then, encourage them, tell them you'll have time at the end of class if you're in a lab for them to just do it then. But otherwise, you'll be collecting their username information next class. So after that, the big activity for the day, I call it in the binder Writing Life Scavenger Hunt. It's also called Literacy Collage activity in the Comp Camp schedule. So looking at the Comp Camp schedule, the way this works is they divide their sheet of paper in 4, and then you have them do about 5 minutes, 3 minutes of free listing, where they're breaking down each of those 4 categories that are listed in the questions. What kind of writing do you do? What motivates your writing? What technologies do you use? Who reads it and why? And they create lists for each of those. Then you get them into groups of 4, where they are comparing and simply sharing what they have. Then you reveal the challenge, which is that they need to create a visual text that combines all of their elements together, one element from each person, And if it's a group of 3, then they have an extra to come up with from one of the other people. The rules are laid out in the document there. The main ones are that they shouldn't use words, that they have to try and integrate it into one cohesive image somehow, not just 4 discrete things. That can mean in the form of a comic, or in the form of a picture, or in the form of a flowchart, or whatever they come up with, but it should try to be one cohesive thing. Ideally, we will have chalkboards for everybody to use. Today is Tuesday before class starts, and they may be delivered today. We have the notice that they might be, and if they're not, then you probably won't have them. Maybe later in the day you might, but for the most part you won't, which sucks. If we don't have them, then there will be large size 11 by 17 paper, poster size paper, up in the mailroom above all of the other paper for you to use. That can work pretty well. If you can bring as many different kinds of pens and pencils and things, I'll try and provide a set of those if I can. For them to use, so there's some diversity in what they can write with. It can work pretty well that way. Encourage them to take up the whole sheet of paper if you do it that way. Otherwise, if you have good board space in the classroom, bring chalk and dry erase pens. I've got some colored ones that you can come by and get from me if you want to do it that way. So that they can use that board space as well. Ideally, you can get 3 or 4 groups on the boards, and 3 or 4 groups working with paper. Give them a choice about which one they want to use, and you can still get to some of the conversations about medium and genre that you want to get. To review that brief conversation, those talking points, once they've actually presented their work. So once they've made their thing, you have them show off how they made it and how it works as a text. That can be 3 or 4 minutes apiece. Once they're done with that, the conversation about genre and medium. Genre is the rules that govern a set of texts, how it communicates, how it's supposed to work, what makes it good. So as we came up with poetry versus drama, horror versus romance, there's lots of genres they might volunteer, but you get them to, what is a genre, what does a genre do, how does it work? And then medium, what's it made out of, how is it delivered to the audience? So the genre is a set of rules. They might find their way to the rules that you set for this activity. That's sort of where it's going. They might find a genre like icebreaker, which it is as well. So genre is the more abstract one, but see if you can get them to move that way. Medium, of course, you can talk about the difference between the medium of the paper and the medium of written on the board, sort of what the difference is to work on, but also what the difference is to view. And there are, of course, some differences there. If you don't talk about these very much, if you just get as far as naming the 2 terms, that's just fine. This is just a primer. It's meant to make them sensitive to these issues later, but for now, you're just sort of touching them. The next thing that you're doing after that is you're returning to the grading contract and the syllabus in more detail. You might give them 5 minutes to sit with a partner and read through the whole grading contract and self-assessment report together. You could then quiz them on how it works. You could also read through it aloud. It's a good way to do it. The main thing is they need to sign the grading contract and bring it back next time, and they should come in with any questions they have on the syllabus overall and the grading contract and self-assessment report later. This is a good time to talk them through the general shape of the course. If you want to bring up the major assignments from the binder, you can do that. It's in one of the early pages. That might be a good thing to do at this point. Finally, the homework assignments. One is the letter to you. Read through in the binder the kinds of questions. You can even select which questions you care more about and write those on the board, or add them or edit them or whatever makes most sense to you. Just know that that is homework for next time and that they should bring a physical copy next time, either handwritten or printed. They are going to the They're going to watch 2 videos on YouTube. You should make sure that they have the links to those through Canvas. Post those up there, or write them on the board somehow. Email them is a good idea through Canvas. They're looking at 2 pieces on the Digital Archive of Literacy Narratives. Remind them there will be a quiz on the concept of literacy next time, and they'll get it through these videos and through their experience on the archive. And then signing the grading contract. That is just about it. The final thing I will remind you to do is it's really good to email them through Canvas through the inbox feature after the first day with reminders about all the homework. They might well have a hard time finding notes. Anything could go wrong. So just setting that reminder for the first day is really important. All right, that's day 1. I will see you next time with day 2. Good luck.